Welcome back. It's time now to discuss a very important topic, which is sexual harassment against women and against children as well, a phenomenon that has attacked the Egyptian society recently and has been on the rise, unfortunately. But there are enormous efforts by the government and the civil society to counter this phenomenon and actually to eradicate it through raising awareness. This is very important. What we are going to be discussing now. Now, Egypt's feminist union, headed by Dr. Huda Badran, has launched an initiative entitled "Ma tkhafiesh" or "Don't be afraid," in order to encourage people who have been victims of sexual harassment to report and to talk about it, and also for the people to know more about it. So we are very much honored and delighted to have with us this morning Dr. Huda Badran, the chairperson of Egypt's feminist union. Good morning to you, Doctor.
Good morning.
It's a pleasure having you with us today. But first, before we go into details about the initiative that Egypt's Feminist Union has launched, we're going to watch a little clip. It's a sort of awareness. It aims at raising awareness of the people regarding sexual harassment against women and children.
هل لاحظتما يوما أن طفلكما أو طفلتكما منزوية؟ على جسمه كدمات، مزاجها متغير، منفعل، مكتئبة، عدواني، مصابة بالتأتأة، خائف، أو تحلم أحلاما مزعجة؟ إذا لاحظتما ذلك فربما يكون طفلكما أو طفلتكما قد تعرض لتحرش جنسي. التحرش الجنسي يعرف بأنه كل إثارة يتعرض لها الطفل، ويكون عادة بين شخصين غير متكافئين، حيث يتعرض الطفل للاعتداء من شخص بغرض إشباع رغباته الجنسية، ويكون الطفل في حالة عدم قدرة على الدفاع عن نفسه، مما يصيبه بحالة من الرعب والفزع. كما أن الطفل يصاب بالخجل من التعبير والإفصاح لوالديه عما جرى، خوفا من إلقاء اللوم عليه وتأنيبه، مما يزيد المشكلة تعقيدا. وقد يعتقد بعض الأهل بأن الطفل المتحرش به قد يكبر وينسى، وهذا اعتقاد خاطئ، فالكثير منهم يصاب بأثر نفسي وسلوكي يلاحقه حتى في الكبر، وربما ينقل داءه إلى أطفال آخرين. وإذا كان يهمكما ألا يقع أطفالكما فريسة للمتحرشين، عليكما أن تتعرفا على من هو المتحرش، ما صفاته، ما هي أماكن التحرش المفضلة لديه، ما الأسباب التي تؤدي للتحرش، كيف تتصرف، والأهم من ذلك كيف تحمي طفلك من التحرش. من هو المتحرش؟ ربما يكون الغرباء، الخادمة، السائق، البائع، أو أي غريب. ربما يكون أحد أصدقاء الطفل. لكن الإحصائيات تشير للأسف بأن أكثر المتحرشين هم من أقرباء الطفل، خال، عم، أخ وغيرهم. لذلك فإن أكثر مكان يتعرض فيه الطفل للتحرش هو بيت الأهل والأقارب، إضافة إلى المدرسة والأماكن العامة كالأسواق والحدائق أو السيارة والميكروباص. ولا تظن بأن المتحرش لابد أن يكون مظهره شريرا، بل يظهر أكثرهم عكس ذلك، فهو يظهر بمظهر الذي يخاف على الطفل بشدة، يشتري هدايا غالية الثمن للطفل ويلعب معه، كما يعطي أهل الطفل الأمان والثقة حتى ينفرد ويختلي به. وهنا الخطورة، فالاختلاء يعد من أهم أسباب التحرش الذي ينبغي الحذر منه، كما أن هنالك بعض الأسباب التي تساعد في أن يكون الطفل ضحية للتحرش، ومنها متابعته وما يتضمن من مشاهد غير لائقة، الألعاب وما تحتويها من إيحاءات، السباحة مع الأقارب أو الآخرين والنوم معهم. وجميع هذه الأسباب وغيرها تعود إلى سبب واحد، هو إهمال الطفل وعدم مراقبته. عندما يتعرض طفلكما لا سمح الله للتحرش، فاحذرا من ردة الفعل السلبية، الصراخ، التعنيف، الضرب، التعيير في كل وقت والتذكير بالخطأ، الحرمان المستمر. ومن المهم أن يتعلم الفرق بين اللمس المسموح به كالسلام وفحص الطبيب، وبين اللمس غير الجيد كاللمس في الأماكن الحساسة من جسده. علماهما بأن كل من يحاول أن يقترب من جسدهما ليتحرش بهما عليهما أن يصرخ بصوت عال: لا ويهربا إلى مكان فيه تجمع للناس. ولكي لا يقع الطفل ضحية للتحرش ينبغي أن تكون علاقتكما به قوية والحوار معه مستمرا بصورة يومية حتى يكون الباب مفتوحا دائما لسماع الأخبار منه عن علاقته مع أقربائه وأصدقائه وتصرفاته معه وما يبوحون له من كما عليكما بالمراقبة مع المحافظة على الثقة والأمان لديه. نتمنى لكم حياة سعيدة.
Welcome back, Dr. Hoda. As you said, as you watch this video, it's about abuses and physical abuse for children, against children. So can you first tell us about the campaign that was launched by the Egyptian Feminist Union that is called Don't Be Afraid, that is promoting for the rights of children and how to protect them against any physical violations?
Yes, you know, the Egyptian Feminist Union is concerned about women,
Yes.
Not just adults, but also since she is a child,
Yes.
since even she is a baby in her mother's womb. So the incidents which were known and they were publicized on the TV, it was very annoying and very, the union thought that this is a problem that everybody should be concerned about, and we should put it on our agenda. So that's why when we analyzed the incidents, it starts by that the child gets afraid because she or he is threatened by the adult that she has to obey what he tells her about, what they are going to do, and then she shouldn't tell anybody. So the child is very afraid, and she goes, and the act is done, and she doesn't talk about it. So, although there is a law that if it arrives at the police and at the court, then the one who is doing the act would really be punished, and it's a great punishment. But because the child doesn't talk about it, then nobody knows, and he goes and he can repeat it, and it goes on. So the first step in the act, that child shouldn't be afraid. She should scream, as the film says, and go to a place where there are other people. And then if it happens, she should go right away and tell either her mother or anybody in the family, or if she finds a teacher or the mistress, she should talk about it and tell. So the first step is just to break the fear from refusing or telling anybody. By doing that also, the one who is, the aggressor, because he is usually a coward.
Yes.
When he knows that there is this campaign and the child is not going to be any more silent, he'll think twice before going and doing that.
Yes.
So we are addressing the child herself or himself, and we're addressing the mother and the family to open discussion with the children.
Yes, I think this is the most important step.
Don't be aloof. Encourage your child that she goes and talks to you and tells you what happened.
But this is the main problem, Dr. Huda, because this is a society where, due to cultural aspects and traditions, the parents are very sensitive talking about such topics with their children and discussing this with their children. So there is a sort of silence between the parents and nobody discusses such topics. They consider it as taboos. So perhaps the first step would be to address the parents themselves, how to tackle this with their children. How should the mother talk to her daughter or her son even about such topics? What is the appropriate age where when she can talk to him or her about it?
I'll tell you, children are intelligent. They can understand very early what you can talk about, depending on how do you address the subject, how do you start a discussion.
Yes.
So we are advising mothers or who is a replacement for the mother, that at least give at least an hour to your child to tell you what happened during the day, what happened in the school, whom did you talk to, what the teachers, what happened, who threatened you, who talked to you nicely, and so on. So the child gets used to express her feelings, to tell the story, make it a story. Tell me what happened during the day, and so on. So if anything happens, the child will be accustomed to go to the mother or to the replacement and tell her, okay, this happened during the day. So action can be taken as soon as possible. And this is very important.
So, Dr. Hoda, how do you explain the increase of such incidents even in orphanages? And how can we supervise these places?
It's very unfortunate that there are more cases than it used to be before. And the places that this act is happening are the places where the child should be safe. The teacher is supposedly and theoretically responsible for the safety of the child. He should be careful that anybody should not intrude on the child. He is the one who intrudes. He is the one he is abusing.
Sometimes relatives even at home.
Yeah. So Anna, I'm glad to see that the Ministry of Solidarity is becoming very aware that there are many instances that has happened in the orphanages.
Yes.
And I think nowadays the ministry is trying to supervise very closely what's happening inside these orphanages.
Okay. Dr. Huda, in a story on Al Watan newspaper, Dr. Azza Al-Ashmawi, the chairperson or the Secretary General of the National Council for Childhood and Motherhood, said that the hotline of the council received 207 complaints regarding violations against children in many provinces during the second half of the month of April. Now, this is a very huge number. If we talk about 207 complaints in only 2 weeks. And by the way, those complaints are by courageous people who took the courage to report them, because I think the number is much higher than that, because many people are afraid to talk about it.
Exactly. That's why I think one of the privilege of the campaign, that this will encourage people to talk more. And because when families know that they are not only families, that this incident has happened to their children, they'll be encouraged with other families to feel that it's not true. And I think breaking the fear, breaking the taboo is a first step towards the solution of the problem, but not the only solution. That's why a part of the campaign, we are asking the Ministry of Education that anybody who would be appointed as a teacher or in the schools to be dealing with children should go under some kind of psychological test, because those people who are intruders, they are not normal people. And if they go under a test, they will be discovered early enough. So this is at the line of prevention. And it's much, much better to prevent and to exclude those people who are abnormal from dealing with the children, and instead of waiting until things happen and then we try to find solutions and rehabilitate the child and see what we're going to do.
So how do you describe the harassments against children? Is it a psychological disorder, as you just said, or a criminal act that urges that should be tackled by legal forms?
By whom?
By take legal action against them. It's a
legal action is very important.
Or a criminal act that should be moved to legal action.
You know, legal action is very important because it helps in two ways. First, if it happens already, then the guy or whoever has intruded and abused the child or any adult should be punished. This is one thing. Also, it's a deterrent that when those people know that there is a great punishment, then they think twice before doing it. But the law by itself is not sufficient. It's necessary, but not sufficient. So the law should be applied, but beside that, they would be preventing those abnormal people from being in contact with the children, There should be awareness. And those people who are abnormal and cowards, maybe they should be rehabilitated before that. Because let us look at them as if they are sick. They are actually sick. Before they become criminals and they repeat the act, let's find some way to discover them. And when you discover them through tests, then we can find some way to remedy that, I'll call it a virus that they have.
Yes, yes. Dr. Huda, the problem perhaps is it's much more than that when it comes to harassment against women, because there is a cultural aspect to that. When a woman has the courage to report that she has been a victim of sexual harassment, what is done is her family are embarrassed. They think that this is a scandal, this is a scandalous thing, and they put the blame on the girl. And eventually, they find a way of limiting this scandal from their own point of view by marrying her to her abuser, to the guy who abused her. Now, this is a very critical line when it comes to women who are victims of rape or sexual harassment. Mostly, it's rape cases, because the problem gets even worse when she even marries the raper or the abuser. How can we change this mindset? How can we change that?
And I'm glad to say that the law has been changed. That before, if a girl was raped, then the raper, if he marries her, then he is not punished anymore. Now the law still punishes the guy. So this is a step forward. But unfortunately, before, the girl herself was to be blamed because she was raped. I think there has been some change now. And I'm not saying that it has changed completely, but we have to go on and still make awareness and raise that awareness so that the society doesn't look at the girl as if she is contributing to the act. I think things have been changing, but still, we need more. We need more to the punishment. Also, the law still needs to be a bit changed, because sometimes the verdict is being softened. So instead of, for example, if this the one who abuses should be imprisoned for 15 years, then the judge has the authority to reduce the verdict sometimes to 3 years old only. We don't want this to happen anymore. And I think the authority of the judge to reduce the verdict should be on the contrary. He should make it even more stronger, so that it will be a deterrence that nobody would do that in the future.
Actually, also one of the main problems that face children is child marriage. Of course, despite legal bans, still it is common in the Egyptian society. So what's your take on this?
You know, one reason for that is, particularly it happens more in poverty groups, because they sell the child. She's still a child if she is under 18. And this happens sometimes when she is 12 or 13. And the guy is usually much richer. And it's a matter of the family is selling the child to a rich. First of all, I think we have to find something about poverty. This is a main reason. You cannot deal with symptoms and leave the real reason ignored. And thank goodness there are some efforts now to address the poverty groups by the government, by the Ministry of Solidarity. But still, the girl, we are some campaign to raise the awareness of the girl that she should say no. She should not obey her family. And we are raising the awareness of the parents that sometimes he thinks that he has solved his problem of poverty and solved the problem of his child. Sometimes she is married to an Arab guy, he's rich, and she goes with him, she becomes pregnant, and he sends her back to Egypt. She gets a child, and he doesn't spend, and he forgets the whole thing. So instead of solving the problem, on the contrary, he's making the problem more greater. But because most of these people are poor, they are illiterate, they are not aware. So some awareness will help. But we cannot solve the problem with awareness only.
It has been criminalized, Dr. Huda, because there has been a law that has been issued in May 2010, right before the revolution. It's the human trafficking law or anti-trafficking law, and it criminalizes, part of the law criminalizes minor marriages for girls. And the problem is that most parents, the parents that you're talking about, they don't know that this is a crime. They deal with it as this is in the best interest of his family and his girl, and it's all about ignorance. So perhaps, yes, awareness is the most important thing, and it's the role of the civil society, it's the role of the media as well.
Exactly.
But the civil society has its arms. It has direct access to those people. If you talk, because you said that the girl can say no. No, I think it would be very difficult for a girl to say no to her father in these societies, in these areas. She would be outcast. She would be a bad girl from the point of view of her parents. The basis point here is that the parent or the father himself, because the father has the final say. He has to understand that this is a crime and he is doing what is called human trafficking.
You know, of course, but you have to deal with the problem on different angles. Yeah, and one of it, as you said, the awareness, and he should know about the law. But sometimes even when he knows about the law, he goes around it.
Yes.
And he gets a certificate, a false certificate, in order to get her married. Nowadays, there are some NGOs, when the girl is brave enough to say no, she can go and stay. There is hostels for these girls, and they can go and stay for a while until the social worker can go and talk to the family and explain why they are creating a big problem and so on.
Yes.
So, as I say, any problem you have to really use different strategies until we can get rid of that problem.
Okay, Dr. Huda Madran, chairperson of the Egyptian Feminist Union, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you very much.
And now we'll go to visit one of the historical places here in Egypt with our colleague Deena Younis. So stay tuned.